Right, guys, in this video, we're going to talk about how to stay positive in the first 6 weeks of starting your SMMA, how to stay positive, and just keep moving forward.
Yeah, and to stop yourself just completely losing your mind,
Yeah,
basically.
because it's very easy to. I've told this story thousands of times, but it took me 6 months to find my first client, got the first client, lost the first client after the initial contract period. Tried literally everything under the sun in that first 6 months. I sent logo animations to get clients. I did literally everything you can think of to try and sign a client in 6 months, and it failed. And
Yeah.
I know more than and in that period I stopped. So I stopped for over the Christmas period for about 3 or 4 weeks. And then the first week back in the new year, I did 6 cold calls and signed my first client on the sixth cold call.
Yeah.
And that was after learning the blueprint in those 3 weeks off. So I did it for 6 months, couldn't sign one. Took 3 weeks to really develop my understanding of what I needed to do, and then eventually signed my first one. So I'm fully aware of how frustrating it is if you're sat there like,
Yeah.
this is the 912th video I've watched on SMMA, and I'm still no close to signing a client. Right, this video is for
It's
you.
demoralizing. It is demoralizing, and it does make you feel like you're going insane, and you get in your own headspace. And I think the only advice I can give, because this is not going to be a particularly long video, but the only advice I can give is you have to consume positive content. Okay, so if you're really struggling, write down on a piece of paper what you're struggling with. Oh, I can't sign a client. Fine. Then Google how to sign a client. Okay, get something. Go. You have to re-trigger that content and consume the right positive content. If you, I would say also think you've got to think about kind of your mental state in general. Are you working out? And this is really stupid shit. And you'll be like, well, I'm not going to go to the gym. It's not going to sign me an SMMA client. Well, I'll tell you what it will do. It will make you think more clearly. It will stop you panicking and sounding desperate, because you'll be relieving some of that through fitness. It doesn't have to be working out, but just in terms of do things that stimulate your mind. Read, big one. Read books. You know, it can be books on the industry. It can be a spy novel, whatever the fuck you're into. Just read, because it's a very good way of just clearing your mind. If you're cold calling, or as an example, not getting anywhere, take a deep breath, walk away for 25 minutes, okay, reset and go back. But staying positive and to stop yourself completely losing your mind, you just have to keep telling yourself that this is going to work. This is going to work. I'm going to do it. But if you're failing consistently, then you do have to address what it is you're failing at, because there's probably some mistakes you're making. But just make sure you're consuming positive content. Make sure you're also, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. That's a big quote from Dan Pena. Again, if you don't know who Dan Pena is, we mentioned him a lot. Google him. But if you're hanging out with low-life deadbeats, right, who are just knocking you down for a pie in the sky idea, and they're saying, "Oh, you can't do this and you can't do that," get rid of them, because they're cancerous on your mental health. So hang out with people who are positive. Hang out with fellow entrepreneurs. Do some networking on LinkedIn. Anything. But just that's my advice to stay positive. Drink plenty of vitamin C. All right, it's stuff like that. Coffee's good for a buzz if you want a buzz to stay positive, but you have a crash with that. So just make sure you're eating the right foods. Just cut out the junk food, all the saturated fats, and like in Big Macs, and fucking give the Colonel a rest for a month. Just eat vegetables and really healthy carbs and protein. Your state of mind will be far more positive, and you'll feel cleaner. You'll feel cleaner inside. And therefore your head will feel cleaner, and you can then do an SMMA job that is much more effective than before. And also alcohol. Alcohol is a depressant, natural depressant. And if you're drinking plenty of booze throughout the week and then expecting to get on and send 20 DMs and make 50 phone calls and to actually have client phone calls, if you're drinking alcohol, it really, really affects your mental state about staying positive in this industry. That's a big one.
100%. One of my biggest ones is when I was struggling to sign those clients in that 6-month period. What really ate away at me was not understanding what it was that I didn't have in order for me to sign clients. Like I was seeing all these gurus get up to 10K, 20K a month, all of this stuff. And I was like, well, what is it that I'm not doing?
Yeah.
So, but what really helps, obviously you can do all the research you want, watch as much content as you want, but it all starts with your outreach. Once you start slacking on your outreach and you're not hitting those goals daily, then you slack in other parts of your business. So if you're going to say to yourself, you're going to do 20 pieces of outreach, 20 cold calls a day, every day for the month, make sure you do hit them. And when you don't hit them, you can almost point the finger at that for being the reason for that you're not succeeding. And then you have a reason, and then you can work on that reason. And then once you get there, because I think once you have that foundation of how to fulfill cold calls, how to do meetings, if you're hitting those outreach targets, like we said in other videos, you're gonna get there. So make sure you're hitting those targets every single day, so that if you don't do it, you've got a reason for why you're not succeeding, and then just make sure you're putting everything in place to get there.
Yeah. And this isn't a pitch for our services at all, but if you do buy a course, this is why mentorship is so important, because actually you can find yourself going a little bit insane, feeling a little bit worthless. You're seeing all these other people, testimonials from other people online, like just signed my first 4K a month client, smashed it, just booked my 7th meeting of the day. Don't worry about all that. It's nothing you can control. And some of it isn't true. So let's just take a step back. But sometimes having a mentor that you've purchased a course from, and you go to them and say, look, I'm really struggling, dudes. Like, what am I doing wrong? We would, like, if it was me and you, we would analyze what they're doing, how they're doing it. And we'd give them a fucking kick up the ass to say, come on, Steve, you've got this, mate. We're going to keep an eye on you over the next 3 weeks because I want to see some results. Let's go. Yeah. You've got it. We don't have losers in our academy.
Absolutely.
And you ain't going to be one. So let's go for it. And any help Steve would need from me, if he wants me to check his proposal over or up it, check the amount of cold calls he's making or his script, or even listen, I would be happy for him to try and pitch me on a call so I can really fucking critique the fucker. But actually, these are the steps, and it gives him a boost. And that in the first 60 days would stop having that mentorship, would really stop him getting in his own head thinking he's useless.
Yeah.
Or it's not working,
100%. So I think to kind of summarize all of that, stop worrying about what everyone else is doing.
Yep.
Make sure you're hitting your daily targets so you don't slack there and slack in other parts of your life. Get your general health and life in order.
Get your lifestyle
right
sorted.
Yeah, I think. And then one final thing, mate, that I was going to mention before. When I first started, I found it so useful that I didn't scream and shout about the fact I've started an agency. And I see a lot of people do this. They'll start their agency and they'll go, my name's Harry, I've just launched an agency. Everyone follow my Instagram page. So they get 200 followers. And then they're piling all of that pressure on them. Yep. They'll get pressure.
Great advice.
They're putting all the pressure of family, friends, and then they're feeling like they have to prove themselves that they've started a business and it's successful before it even is successful.
Yeah.
Just stay quiet about it, do it in your own time, and then let the results speak for yourself. That's what I did, and I found it massively beneficial. People didn't even know that I owned an agency till about 1.5 years ago.
Yeah, that is such good advice for anyone listening. If you are doing it, like Harry said, just don't tell people, do it quietly. Then it becomes just a personal pressure. And, obviously, if you're living at home with your mum and dad and they're saying, when are you going to get a job? When are you going to get a job? Maybe just tell them, well, I'm trying to make some money online. I've got a good business model. I'm going to do this and that. Just don't shout it.
Don't.
But people are so wanting to shout it because they want to be like, I own my own business. I'm an entrepreneur. Like I'm an entrepreneur and I'm the next this and that.
And that leads to so many problems. Like when you want to scream and shout about it, they're the exact same people that spend 2 months building the perfect website just to put on their personal Instagram and show their family. When that website does nothing, that 2 months could have been spent on outreach, and you would have signed a client by now. What's more impressive, the fact you've just signed a two grand a month client, or you've got a website that no one sees? Like they're the exact same people.
Yeah, completely.
But I think that's the perfect way to wrap that video up.
Agreed, mate.
Cool. Hope you enjoyed that video, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow.